I've got a wonderful friend from Ethiopia. And he said, in Ethiopia, there's an old proverb that the taller the mountain, the more you look at your feet as you climb it. The bigger the obstacle, the more you look at your feet. And you take a step and you celebrate the step as a victory. And then he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, guess what, my friend? As you step and as you celebrate and your head is down, eventually you see the other side of that mountain. I'm Grant Vosburgh. My wife is Robin Vosburgh, and this is our cancer journey. Cindy Bishop in our little hometown in North Carolina always had the best birthday parties. And 1961, it was her first grade birthday party, and there was a little girl sitting in a redwood cabin picnic shelter in the window. And I did not know who she was, but I just remember noticing her. We grew up together in school, and I actually eventually started dating in high school. When I met her parents, I started telling them about this birthday party, and I described the dress she was wearing, white with blue frills. Her mother proceeded to disappear and go in the basement, and she came up with the little party dress. You know, I guess 50 some years later, it's somewhat meant to have been. A month shy of her 40th birthday, she had begun to have a great amount of pain in her abdomen, and while she was in an examination room, all the gauges on all the monitors she was on began to spike, and her colon literally burst because the tumor had blocked passage in her colon. The doctor who was on call, I can remember when he stepped outside of the exam room with me and said, "Do you know if Robin has any history of cancer?" I've told folks that probably the most amazing week of our marriage was when she was in intensive care. We found out really quickly that we were the right two people to be in this situation together. Robin was a very quiet, driven cancer patient. She was having to recover from a life-saving surgery while she was going through chemotherapy. She has not had any instance of cancer since her treatments ended, and I think she probably had about 2 years worth and no semblance of any kind of recurrence. Relay for Life had a profound impact from me from day one. I have been a volunteer for about 17 years. I began first to see the impact that it had on my wife. For her to walk that first lap of Relay for Life as a cancer survivor was something of a statement that I just realized that we were having an impact in several levels. We were raising money, obviously, to fight the fight and do all the wonderful activities. But at the same level, we were really giving hope to people whom I now knew from my wife's experience had great doubts about what their future would hold. I had begun to experience some things in May of 2012, and I knew that perhaps something was a bit amiss. And we had a colonoscopy on June 1st, 2012. The doctor was a very good friend of ours, and I knew the moment he walked in after the exam, I could sense we had a new battle. He was very honest about what I was going to be facing, because it was almost exactly the protocol that Robin had faced. I feel very optimistic about what we're looking at, and unfortunately they say that this looks like this may be a cancer that will just keep making the rounds. It's pretty resilient. I've told a lot of people that maybe the greatest gift that I've gotten from Relay for Life is that it's taken away the fear of cancer from me. And I didn't know that, obviously, until I was diagnosed well into my volunteer years, but it truly has. I understand what the disease is and where the advances are, and it's taken away the fear. The phrase nowadays is pay it forward, and there's so much of that involved in this enterprise. In 1957, one of the Nobel Prize winning scientists, researchers who had been funded by the American Cancer Society was a gentleman named Charles Heidelberg, and his drug that he discovered was fluorouracil. It became and continues to be one of the key protocol drugs of colorectal cancer. So when I talk about the fact that I met my wife in 1961 at a first grade birthday party, our story actually with cancer, and it begins a little earlier. In 1957, by virtue of the funds they were able to provide to Charles Heidelberg, a drug was already developed to save my wife's life. She was 2 years old at the time, and she wouldn't need it for 38 more years. That same discovery saved my life. Now we're in a situation where we're raising millions of dollars each year for research. And we have the opportunity in Relay and throughout our work with the American Cancer Society to fund future discoveries, so that maybe there's a little 6-year-old boy at a birthday party who is about to be stopped dead in his tracks by seeing a little girl in a white dress with blue frills. And they've already had their lives saved by the work that we're doing in Relay for Life. If we really finish the fight, there's an opportunity that those two little children will grow up really never knowing there was a real life-threatening disease called cancer.